All right, well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Connection Hangout. Tonight is the Diamond Connection. All right, the Diamond Connection, we're going to chat with, we generally chat with Diamond executives to learn about their backgrounds and their secret to success. We've got a very special guest we'll introduce here in a minute. Before we get started, though, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. And first off, let me introduce my co-host in Marietta, Georgia, David Asarno. Welcome, David.
Hey, Paul. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. Is it still hot Atlanta over there, where you're at?
It's not as hot as Lost Wages, where you live.
We actually got a little bit cooler the other week.
What do you mean? You were broke 105?
Broke 105, exactly. That's cooler. Played yesterday some golf. It was like 100, 102, and got a little beat up out there. Yeah, we are definitely in summer. Want to let everyone know out there beneath the screen, you're going to see a comment section. If you have a comment, like to chime in, say hello, where you're calling from, or viewing from rather. We'd love to hear from you, so feel free to type that in. And I want to point out that the Connection Hangout is not a business presentation, nor is it a product presentation. This program is designed to allow you to connect to real people, getting real results, both with ASEA and the Renew 28 products, as well as with the business opportunity. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is pass it over to David so he can introduce tonight's special guest. All you, David.
Thank you, Paul. And well, tonight we have a very special guest, and it's special for me because she happens to be one of my personal mentors and someone that I've gotten to know over the past couple years. So Julianne Fike is a double diamond in ASEA, and I actually like to call her our resident cat. Now, why a cat? Because I love cats. Anyone who knows me, I have 3 myself. And also, a cat has had 9 lives. And tonight we're going to learn a little bit about a few of Julianne's lives. So without further ado, welcome to our Connection Hangout, Julianne.
Hi. Love the applause.
Julianne is one of your personal team members. Now, I'm familiar with your story. However, there's a lot of people who, I know you think that people may have heard your story, but I know that most people haven't. Can you share with our viewers how you and your mom discovered ASEA and the impact it's had on your lives?
Sure, yeah, I'd love to. We actually discovered ASEA because my brother was passing away from ALS. And maybe someday I'll be able to talk about it without getting emotional, but he's my best friend. And somebody referred us to ASEA because they thought it would help him. Now, it didn't save his life, but what I can tell you is it made the quality of his last month, there was no comparison in how it would have been, or actually even how it was when he was introduced to ASEA versus how it was when he passed away.
Wow, that is... it's an interesting thing. I know a lot of people, I've lost loved ones, and I've had loved ones who I wish would have taken the product and seen their last moments there. But the quality of life is important as well. And if you look at other cultures, I think what's tough in our country is a lot of people look at death as a very painful and a very negative experience. And you look at other cultures, it's a very graceful experience, and I think when the body has what it needs, it can go through and transition, out of the process a lot more peacefully. And I think we can go, as I think a lot of us picture it the best way, in our sleep or in a very calm state.
Well, in a nutshell, when he was introduced to ASEA, he couldn't hold his head up. If you understand the ALS disease, he was no longer able to hold up his head, and he couldn't type, and he couldn't write, and he couldn't really speak. And so it was very hard to communicate with him. Mm-hmm. And in the last month of his life, he'd been on ASEA about the last 2 months of his life. He was able to hold his head up, and he got enough function in his hands that the most meaningful thing is that I was able to be in the hospital with him while he wrote letters to his 2 sons that he was leaving behind, which he would not have been able to do that.
Wow.
Wow.
That is that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, let's transition into the present, because I know that since you've been introduced, and your mom as well, you guys have had a great story, a great amount of success. What is life currently like here at ASEA for you?
You know, um, life is not anything like I would have told you it was going to look like 5 years ago. Many of you know that I was a single mom, truly raising my daughter on my own. That we've been able to do a lot of things that I never dreamed possible. I mean, like, we've been able to go on vacations in the past since ASEA. We've been to Hawaii and Florida and Costa Rica, and we're making up for lost time. We also had no money in her college education fund. I mean, we made things go on a month-to-month basis, but that's the key. It was month-to-month. And she just graduated with a degree in neuroscience from UTD with very little student debt. And we're about ready to marry her off on December 6th, and with a beautiful, beautiful wedding, which was not in the budget before. And that's why when you say what does it look like in the present, this is a very transitional phase in my life. My one and only daughter is about ready to get married and move away, you know? And it has really kind of made me think about things. And part of my story that a lot of people don't realize is that when I first heard about ASEA, I was dating a man who I married last August. And he's an engineer. And I don't think I need to say any more. He's an engineer who I found out did not have a retirement plan in place. And not because he was bad with his money, but in today's economy, you know, what do they say? We're going to work 14 different jobs or something like that. Mm-hmm. So he's always been able to go from good paying job to good paying job, but he's not going to get that 40-year gold watch. And I realized that when we started dating that, okay, yeah, the guy makes a good living, but you know, that what's he going to do in his golden years? And when I came to him and told him I figured out our golden years, and I think I can say this on this call, that I was going to provide for our golden years by selling salt water out of Salt Lake City. Needless to say, he thought I was nuts, you know. But now it's really awesome because he lives in he works in the telecommunication industry, very volatile industry. Every weekend there's layoffs. They're shipping so many jobs overseas, down to Mexico. And the beautiful thing to me is that, no, he's not going to go quit his job. He'd be silly, and I would probably shoot him if he just wouldn't quit his job. It's really nice to know that we did it. We're going to be okay. And he doesn't have, when he shows up at work, he doesn't have to stress about it. In fact, in some ways, he kind of wishes the hammer would drop, but he keeps going. He's kind of like the Energizer Bunny, you know. But yeah, so all of a sudden, our golden years really are golden, and that's life-changing.
You know, it's amazing how when you don't have to be somewhere, mm-hmm. how people really want you there. They don't want you.
Attitude, I think.
Yeah, it's like I have to be here. I remember years ago when that happened to me in the corporate world, and I said, okay, I'm going to leave. They're like, well, can you just come here 3 days a week? You know, we'll keep your full benefits. You know, all this stuff. I'm like, really? But it is. It's totally different. A different perspective. That's great.
I like to think that besides just having him on ASEA, I like to think I've extended years to the life of the man that I love, because stress is a huge killer too, mm-hmm. and we've been able to take that off of him.
Well, and one of the things that you just said is, I mean, your golden years are your golden years. Truly, when you look ahead, you've got something. And when you and I actually had a chance to spend some time together last week down in Dallas, and that's one of the things we were talking about that so many people don't realize is it's not literally jumping in and making the hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars overnight, because it's not an overnight thing. However, where you are now, I mean, is not where you were when you began. and
Oh no.
we're just looking a few years. I mean, it's been 4 years.
4 years, and one of the my favorite stories, even though my husband kind of gets irritated when I tell it, is when he my man cave one day, or my cougar den, I should say, and he says to me, because remember, folks, he's an engineer, okay? He's not a marketer, and he says to me, "Honey, are you even making minimum wage for all the hours you're putting in?" And all I could say to him was, "I'm planting seeds, baby. I'm planting seeds, you know." And now you look later, 4 years later, and just being consistent. Here we are.
4 years, and you can move up to the top of the grade, to the ascent as you go up. And that's the cool thing, is it's that belief that you have, and it's amazing.
Well.
Oh, go ahead, Julianne.
No, that's okay. I was going to say I come by the belief naturally. I mean, if you guys understood my mother's story, and really, I mean, I mentioned my brother. You guys, one thing I didn't tell you is literally from the hospital bed, he was recruiting for ASEA. So
that actually happens a lot.
Yeah, it's just kind of in our blood, okay?
Yeah, and I will tell you, you know, and I apologize. I got a little bit choked up there in the beginning here, because I've had 2 instances, all being involved with ASEA. One with a close personal friend, and I look at it from like you were talking about, Julianne, from my ability for the last month of his life to fly over there and to be with him, and even when he had passed, that was really memorable for me. I know that in my previous career, there's no way I could just disappear for a month, you know, and then have me back, and the same thing happened with when my father had passed. You know, to be able to go back and forth at will, and really without, and it's not just the amount of time freedom and flexibility and the ability we can do that financially, but I could still participate, because now with all this, with the great technology and tools that we have, or, you know, I could still be involved.
Right.
Yeah, and to be honest, just like your brother in his hospital bed, you know, it's encouraging. It's to be able to be active and to be able to try to be constructive and to contribute, you know, something positive when this stuff is going on all around you.
Yep.
And so it's a really just, and there are so many amazing things about our business model, not just the money, you know, but the freedom that it provides people, you know, as you continue to build it. So
the choices that it allows you.
Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about personal development, because Julianne, I know you recently just spent a week out in the middle of the Mojave Desert in a sweat lodge.
I didn't spend the whole week in the sweat lodge, okay? That was just one day.
And you were just detoxing a little bit. And T. Harv Eker's Enchanted Warrior course. Now, I'm familiar with his Warrior program. It's powerful. Can you share the biggest takeaway that you came away from that week in the Mojave Desert in a sweat lodge, just pouring things out? No, I'm just kidding. And just help our viewers, something that will help them on their journey to success.
You know, it's real funny, because I went there with one thing in mind. And what that was, because we all have different areas in our life that we would really like to improve on. And even though I'm a redhead, and people find it really hard to believe when I say this, but I went there wanting to come away not really worrying about what other people think about me. Now, I know y'all think I don't care what y'all think about me, but I do. And there are certain personalities that can just, yeah, quit smiling, Paul. But there are certain personalities that can just really knock me out of the water. And that's why I went. I was trying to work on that area of my life. And it did work on that area of my life. And, you know, it was pretty amazing. I mean, we had to get, they broke us down into teams.
Well, they broke you down, too.
Yes, oh yeah. they had us up at 6:30 in the morning doing yoga, and I'm not talking like meditational yoga. then you're immediately like going off. Like one day our team had to hike 5 different mountain peaks, and we had to get our whole team up there. But what I haven't told you is one of our teammates was in a wheelchair.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we had to get her up there as well, along with building supplies, water, everything. And so that was hard. I mean, it would have been a hard hike just to go up there. We did go into a sweat lodge, and I'll tell you what, for some people...
By the way, I didn't know you went in a sweat lodge. I was just joking with you.
Oh, no, we really did. And it was run by the Lakota Indian chief.
His name wasn't James Arthur Ray, was it? Just
no, that's a different personal development program.
No. But it was an actual sweat lodge, and we spent 4 hours in there. That was pretty emotional and pretty intense, to say the least. But what I walked away with was not something I ever expected to walk away with. And what that was I've always thought of myself as somebody that knew how to play on a team. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything, but I always know that, like, if I'm on a team, we're probably going to be a winning team. But the thing is that that's because I'm going to tell everybody what to do.
Are you a Leo too?
No, I'm not. But I have a really hard time, though, letting even my fellow teammates know what it is I need. Okay? So one of the days we had these obstacle courses we had to do. And I mean, literally they had us climbing telephone poles and jumping off. And there were grown men up there that were bawling before they could jump off, okay? But to me, I'm not afraid of heights. So that was no big deal. I knew if I could get up the telephone pole, that was going to be the hard part. You know, that I would be more than happy to jump off. But one of the obstacles was these tires. And they were bigger than car tires, but they weren't semi-truck tires. And there were maybe like 10 of them straight up in a row. And you got paired up randomly with somebody on your team, and you both had to make it to the top of these tires. But the trick, too, was that you could only, between the two of you, you could only be on 2 tires. So it wasn't like one could scale the top and then, you know, help the other one up. Well, by now, I'd climbed 2 telephone poles, done some other things. My upper body strength, you guys, was totally, totally gone. And, in fact, I've been in the gym every day since I got back because I had not realized how little upper body strength I had at this point, you know. And
hey, wait a minute, I think you should practice massage. I'll volunteer just to take one for the team. Strengthen the grip.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. But I don't have that anymore. You know, because I closed my spa a couple years back, and I didn't realize until this event that it was gone. And so I'm trying to get up. I got teamed up with a guy, probably, seriously, his name was Tan, and he was Chinese. And we had actually connected in a couple events before. We'd become friends, and he was very small in stature. I'm going to say maybe 5'4". And tiny guy. I mean, and as soon as they paired me up with him, I'm like, what are you doing to this poor boy? Because I'm not a tiny girl, you know? And we're trying to climb up these tires. My strength was so gone that you guys literally, he's having to lift my leg up and put it into the next tire. And then he would climb 1 tire above, and he had to have his whole body on that 1 tire, and he would help pull me up. And I'm halfway up. I didn't know how far up I was, but turns out I was about halfway up, and for the first time that whole week, and this was the last day. This was after walking over hot coals. This was, I mean, I doing all these things. I just looked at him. I'm like, Tan, I can't do this. I don't have it in me anymore. Well, my team is down below, and they're yelling, and they're like, 1 more tire, Julianne, 1 more tire. And I thought they meant 1 more tire, and I was up to the top. So I'm like, I can do this 1 more time. And the way that this was set up, it wasn't until I kind of leaned back a little bit to make the lunge for the next tire up that I could see that, dang it, there's like 4 more up there. And at first I was kind of mad because I'm like thinking, you guys lied to me. You know, there wasn't just one more.
There's one more, and then there's one more.
Yeah, but what I didn't realize, I mean, then it occurred to me that, no, they were just telling me, Julianne, if you can do just one more, we're going to be happy, you know? But that kind of made me mad. And I looked at Tan, and I'm like going, the redhead then kicked in. And I'm like, Tan, they don't think we can do this. And I'm like, if you can keep doing what you can keep doing, I can make it the rest of the way up. So we did. We made it up, and they rappelled us down. And everybody, of course, is like jumping around us and screaming and yelling. And Tan and I are bawling. We are just bawling. And after everything starts subsiding a little bit, I'm still bawling, partially because I am just, I mean, my every limb is shaking. And plus, I'd never been put in a position where I had to ask for help. See, that's the key. Mm-hmm. I'd never been put in a position where there was no way that our team was going to accomplish something unless I reached out for help. And I'm still bawling, but so is Tan. And I'm like, Tan, I understand why I'm bawling, you know, but why are you crying? And you guys, what he said to me? He says, Julianne, nobody's ever let me be the hero before. And oh my gosh, guys, it occurred to me how many times playing as a team I have robbed somebody of their ability to shine because I can do it. I can do it all. And it completely redefined my outlook on what it means to work as a team, which we all know that that's what this venture is. This is a total team effort. No one person makes it by themselves. And to me, it kind of occurred to me that it's kind of like when all we know how to do is receive, is to give. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like there's this gate, and it only opens one way. And if we live in that land of that one-side gate that only opens one way, we can get really tired. We can get frustrated. We can get resentful, you know? But if we'll let the gate swing both ways and let people know where we're weak, realize that we're all going after the same goal. We're all each other. We can there's nothing we can't accomplish. And yeah, that was what I did not expect it, but that was like a major takeaway for me.
Wow.
That's fantastic. David, I know you've been involved in a lot of these and given instructions as well and did courses. How about that one?
That's amazing. I mean, you know what's interesting? What Julianne said is so many times we go into something with an intention of what we think we want to get out of it. Mm-hmm. And what you just said you experienced is what I've heard over and over and over again from so many people is what they got out of it was not what they expected and a whole lot more. And because you allowed yourself to experience it. And I think it's sort of like when you said that redhead kicked in when you were there. And no, but seriously, when all of a sudden the people who were supposed to support you, you didn't think that they believed that you could. Now all of a sudden you looked at him and said, help me. This is what we need to do. This is how I just keep doing what you're doing. And it's all of a sudden, now you realize that how much more you can achieve by letting someone else possibly lead and letting someone else help you.
Exactly.
And by the way, that's a lesson right there that you gave all of us. I mean, there's so many times that I'm you, Julianne. You know, what do? I just get it done. But then when have I robbed someone else? So there's a learning lesson in you telling that story, even though I've experienced so much of this, that story, there's a learning lesson right here for me, which means, you know, and everyone else probably got something else different out of it.
Yeah. No, it is. I think anyone who's a performer, because we take, you know, we teach the concept of taking responsibility because there are a lot of people out there who don't want to take any responsibility, right? Sometimes we get too carried away and want to be responsible for everything. And again, I know anyone who's a high achiever, they've run into that at some point in their life, and to get to those next levels. And again, I know a lot of us out here, as we're building our businesses, to get to those next levels, to get to the deeper levels of duplication, that element needs to happen, you know, in order for that to happen. So it's a great illustration, Julianne, and it is. It's wonderful to hear how he said that no one's ever let him be the hero. It is. It's very, very fulfilling. I can just see it. And why
we rob people.
Yeah, we do. We do. And not for the bad reasons.
No.
But it's like the parent who just does everything for the kid, and I met someone the other day, and they literally had like a 6-year-old or something that they fed, you know, with the, you know, food
Wow.
And so she was, you know, explaining this, and finally, and the kid was waiting to eat, and it's just, yeah, mommy's not going to be here forever. But I mean, to get to that point, and again, she had good intentions, but you know, they've got, people have to do that so they can get that own reward, you know, as you were sharing.
Yep.
Super, super. All right. Well, looks like we're running a little toward the end of time. I think it's a some perfect lessons for this evening. I want to thank you so much for joining us here this evening, Julianne. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Oh, it's a joy as always.
Also, thanks to co-host there, David Sarno in Marietta, Georgia. Thanks, David.
And thank you, Paul Tyra, in the city of Lost Wages, Nevada.
Where it's a crisp and balmy 103 degrees outside right now.
We're not far behind in the high 90s. So.
High 90s, but you got humidity, so yeah.
I know. I have my own sweat lodge when I go to CrossFit in the afternoon.
When you go outside.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Now, next week we've got a very special Connection Hangout. It's the Tech Connection. We'll have the developer of the ABC platform and founder of Jixity, Nadlin Lewis. She'll be with us next week, giving us some great updates. There's some new releases, functionality. We also are going to be having a new Facebook page, group, I think, if you will, that will allow community to develop for people to provide their input, suggestions, feedback, things they see working, not working, so we can continue to develop the ABC platform at an accelerated rate. Because really, there's a lot of great feedback that's coming in and things that we're learning. So everyone who's been contributing, thanks so much, and realize that you're part of this evolution. You're part of this development, and I'm excited. I mean, and I think you should all be excited too to be able to be participating in something that's truly the history in the making. And that's the development environment. That's our amazing technology of being one of the first to get it out to the world. You guys are all in the right time at the right place. Congratulations. Go out, have a fantastic rest of your evening, rest of the week, and I'll see you later. Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Good night.